Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back to another video in our game animation sample project. We are working on a lock-on targeting system from the classic Souls games or whatever, any type of console game, I believe. So we have the ability to like toggle between these targets. Seems to work fine. So basically, yeah. So what we want to do is when we are locked onto a target, we want to rotate towards that target as well. So right now you can see the lock-on isn't really doing anything. It's just I can identify what target it is that I am currently locked onto. And this depends. You wouldn't necessarily need to, like, you design your own system. I have now shown you how to identify specific targets. You could do a system. I've seen it in some games. I can't remember which. You could do a system where you are locked on. I do believe maybe The Witcher works like that. So you are locked on, but you aren't constantly facing that one until you attack. So like if I'm locked onto that actor and now I attack, I would turn and attack towards this one. So that's one way to do it. But we're gonna do the classic one so that I have the free movement when I'm not locked on, and then when I lock on, I'm gonna turn and face towards the character that I'm locked onto. So yes, let's get going. And if we want to put stuff in our components, so likely we would do this on tick. Yes, since we already have the tick stuff here. I guess you could do it on a timer as well, but it's probably gonna look nicer to actually do it on tick. So let's see. Get owner, that's gonna be our character that the component is added to. Get actor rotation. Get current target. Is locked on. So if we are locked on, no. So from the owner, get actor location is what we want. And then from the correct target, we do the same. And between them, we want to find look at rotation. So this is what we want. Set actor rotation. And when we toggle the lock on, we need to do set component tick enabled. Here. Only if we have targets. If the target array is empty, we're not gonna do this, so only there. And then when we toggle off, we're gonna disable the tick again to try to maintain some kind of performance. And you see, it is now working. There is some issues here because of the movement system, but I just wanted to see that it actually works. I am rotating towards this one. The issue with this game animation sample is that it is constantly rotating the mesh in different rotations than the capsule component, and now we're actually rotating the base capsule component, but the mesh can still rotate away from it. So maybe we actually need to set the mesh rotation here, but let's try some stuff before we do that. And I want to keep as much logic as possible inside of components, but there are some things when working with other systems, like we're working with the game animation sample now. It makes it hard sometimes because it already has a bunch of functionality, right? So if we open our character, wherever the character is here, what we want to do when we lock onto the enemy is that we want to make sure that we are not orienting rotation to movement, which is the standard, which is the way the character moves. Like basically if we should face our velocity or not, the character. And the problem here is that if we search for set orient rotation to movement, you see this is constantly being updated on tick inside of the character. It's an extremely unperformant, or I mean, it's probably fine, but it's unnecessarily to do it this way because you wouldn't need to update it on tick. So even if we change it here, it's just going to be corrected here anyway. So we need to manipulate this character input state variable if we're gonna use the game animation sample. If you're not using the game animation sample and you're just following the tutorials, then you could just set the character movement or these variables basically. So this is locked on, no, the other way around. This is when we're not locked on, and this is when we're locked on. So and we already have the BI player character here, so we're gonna do it's a little bit, let's just do like this. BI player character. Is this? Yeah, this is from my other videos. So we need to. I mean, why is it? We could just override it. To be fair, let's do that. Because this doesn't need to be updated on tick. It's just silly. Yeah, it's incredibly silly to update this on tick. So let's not do that. I'm just gonna disconnect this one. So we're gonna get owner cast to character. Once again, character is a base class. It's always gonna be loaded into memory because we are a character anyway, so this cast is fine. And we will do get character movement, set orient rotation to movement to false. And Use controller desired rotation to true when we are locked on. And when we are not locked on, we're gonna do the other way around. Like so. So let's see how that looks. Better, but it is still struggling a little bit. It is disagreeing a little bit. So what we want to do is, since we now enable this use controller decide rotation, we're always going to rotate towards the control rotation. So if we go to our event tick, we could do get player controller. Set control yeah, so we will let's just do this and see how it looks for now first. Yeah, there we go. Way better. Smooth. But we can't. We need some kind of offset. Because what happens if the character is here? Let's say the character is up here. It actually works surprisingly well. Just want to see. It's the pitch, right? Subtract. I just want to see how it looks. Yeah. Because we don't want the camera to go like too far down. I think this is pretty nice. So I just added a slight offset to the pitch. But I wonder how it looks up here. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. And you can obviously decide yourself how much of an offset you want, but this is actually fine. And it's actually looking pretty good. There are probably some slight... Yeah, there's some things that we need to clean up, but we got the gist of it basically, so that's good. So, set control rotation is good to use for replication. The question is, do I need to do that on the server? I believe so. Actually, before we do anything, let's see if it replicates. Yeah, okay, it actually is replicating, so I think that's one of the nice things about using control rotation to rotate your characters, because that's handled, the replication of that is handled by the engine, so it's quite convenient. So that seems to be working great. So let's keep that then. Collapse this to a function. Set perform lock on rotation. Try lock on rotation, and we'll take this branch here. We'll actually put this inside a function as well. There we go. And this is an offset to the pitch to make sure the camera doesn't go too far into the ground. And we need to do some stuff here as well. Get control position. We will do reinterp 2. So we want to smoothly go from our current rotation to our target rotation. So make rotator like so. So we just keep the offset. We can recombine these pins. And this will be the target. Keep the comments. And let's do something like 5 for delta time. And we need to move these delta seconds in as an input as well. So we do delta seconds and then interp speed of something like 5. Let's see how that looks. Yeah. And you can see we now got rid of the snapping to the, when we did the camera as well, before we like snapped to the rotation of the target, but now it's gonna go smoothly there as well. So that's fine. We can see we got some staggering when we stop. You can see we're stuttering when we stop with the lock on. So we need to actually replicate the lock on because the server and the client does not agree if we are orienting to movement or not. So this one and this one needs to be replicated. So we're just gonna copy this. We're gonna do a custom event here. Server set lock on movement. Run on server, and we will client predict it just to be sure. So we will make another event, client set lock on movement. Copy this. So since this is a component, both the client and the server will get its own version of the owner here. So we can just do this. You could also pass this on as a character references to the server if you want to, or this one. But this is a pretty efficient way to do it without having to pass through variables, since the server are already aware of this character. There could be some cases where the server didn't know about this character, and then we would have to pass the character references on to the server. So server set lock on movement. So first we do it on the client, then we do it on the server. I can actually collapse this to a function as well, just to keep it clean. So input here is locked on. So if we are locked on, not. So we reverse it for that one, and this one is the same. So make sure you're not getting this one here. I guess it could be this one as well, doesn't really matter. No, yeah, because we want the pass-through variable, so like so. So you see the server is calling this function and the client is calling this function. So they agree on the type of movement we are doing, and that's fine. So in our toggle lock on, we can now delete this, and do client toggle client set lock on movement to locked on there and not locked on here. And we should now get rid of the stuttering. Look at that. Smooth. There are some issues still going on here, I can see. And I assume that's because we are interfering with the game animation sample's own rotation. Let's see how it looks if I... Yeah, exactly, because you see, if I do that on tick, it doesn't work at all. I'm not sure, there's probably a fix. It's also possible it's something they fix in the... Because they do some shady stuff in the game animation sample. It's still a very early prototype more than anything else, and it's not really game ready. So there will likely be fixes to it in future updates. I'm gonna have a look, maybe there's something I can do to get rid of the snapping as well, but I think for now this does look quite alright otherwise. So we will pause for there. Maybe I will do another video with this if I can find a fix for it. Otherwise you have the basics of a targeting system. There's still some things we need to do here. We need to, because if we have this target locked on, whoa. Okay, there's some stuff I need to fix here. So I'm gonna pause this video here, and then we'll do one more video at least with some cleanup and other stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.